Welcome back, everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video. What we're going to be doing today, since normally it would be a preview, we are going to go over some of the things on the Dolphins. So I did a recap, basically a broad spectrum recap, but I wanted to go individually. So I think I'm going to go Tua today, and then we'll do possibly the offense and defense. Then, we'll move back into the regular stuff next week. But we need to talk about Tua. Because, of course, the last game was a little bit disappointing. But we're going to look on the year of Tua. And is Tua considered to be an MVP? Now, me personally, I think Tua is the MVP so far this season. Yes, he hasn't won the games that have technically mattered. But to be honest, Tua has played incredible. He's number one in so many different statistics. We'll get into that. And just the guy is just playing phenomenal. I've never seen this where a quarterback is leading the league in passing yards, passing touchdowns, QB rating, what else? Average yards per pass. And people still, not only, I can understand if you're like, oh no, it should be Patrick Mahomes for MVP. People are still saying that he stinks. Truly, like Jesus said, truly, I say unto you, I do not understand where this is possibly coming from. It makes zero sense how a guy that is leading the league in everything. Sure, maybe the coach is very good. Yes, he has Tyreek Hill. I mean, there's been plenty of quarterbacks that have been put in good systems. For instance, Alex Smith, Jimmy Garoppolo. They've been put in good systems before. They didn't have number one leading the league numbers. So for you to say that he stinks, if you're any one of those that's in the comment section that I hear that it's all Tua's fault, and which most of you guys aren't. Most of you that are on my channel, you've kind of joined my channel because it's about the Dolphins and that I'm a Tua fan. So, and I understand, I can get that he hasn't done what we thought he was going to do this year. There's been some different circumstances that have happened, but Tua has done this. He has brought us back in fourth quarter. So anybody that wants to sit here and say that Tua hasn't done that, he's done that in the Baltimore game. Like I said, CJ Stroud had a great game. Tua beat that last year where he threw for 6 touchdowns. We're kind of like spoiled children because the guy basically throws, yes, last game was 200 yards. That was a tough game. But that was a lot of drops, too. There's plenty of drops. But we're basically spoiled because this guy honestly throws for 250 to 300 yards and 2 to 3 touchdowns every single game. That's normal to us. That's normal for Tua to do every single game, which is not a normal thing. There are a lot of people in this league that would love to have a quarterback that threw for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns every single game. So we'll get into the statistics right now, which he's leading the league, yards, 2,609, touchdowns, 19, leading the league, rating, 106, leading the league. And the thing is he's thrown like almost 30 less attempts than any of the other quarterbacks that would be competing against him. And if you really look and break down the steady progression of the dude, so basically 2020, 1,800 yards, 11 touchdowns. Yes, he played halfway into the season. The next year, 2,600 yards. He played most of the season. 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He didn't have anybody. Then he gets Tyreek Hill, 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And that was in 13 games played. This year so far, 2,600 yards and 19 touchdowns. So halfway into the year, he's definitely going to go past where he was last year. He's probably going to hit around 4,000 yards. And what it's looking like is he is on pace for about 35-ish touchdowns, 35, maybe 40, depending on what happens in the next couple games. That is going to be an incredible year for any quarterback that you have on any team. 4,000 yards and 30-ish, 35 touchdowns, maybe even more. That's a nuts number. And we have to consider is that the dude has just steadily improved every single year. This year, he definitely has control of the offense. One of the biggest things that we got when we got him is that he wasn't vocal enough. Well, that notation is completely gone. Tua has been vocal the entire time. He takes full blame on himself, but he also gets on people's butts when he knows that they are not doing the job properly or what they were supposed to do. And the next thing is that he constantly is talking with Mike McDaniel on what to do. Now, we'll get into an offensive thing later on, in another video. But I think we put too much onto us sometimes. And, it's warranted. He's going to be the franchise quarterback for a while. Anybody that doesn't like that, I'm sorry to say this, but after this year, he's definitely going to be the franchise quarterback. They're going to pay him, and he will be the quarterback for the Dolphins for a while. And just like Drew Brees, we're all going to like it. We're going to like that we have a coach and a quarterback that compete. And the thing is that, like I said, he's only getting better. He keeps getting better every single year. Now, what we need to break down with Tua, and which is why I call him the MVP, and he's going to win the MVP this year. I called it out in the offseason, and I think he's going to win it this year because what we do not understand, and what, as I guess most average fans, when you're watching the games, it's just one of those things that what he's doing, you can't see with your eyes. It is, and it's something that I point out to whoever I'm watching the game with. It's his eyes, his movement, his subtle things that you can't see as a fan, but the simple throws that he's making are actually extremely difficult, and he's actually doing something to the defense before he even throws that ball. The fact is again, we're like spoiled brats where we see this guy make throws in between three people like it's nothing every single game. And if you look at the other quarterbacks in this league, you won't see that. Those guys have to usually throw to slant routes with one defender on that person. We've been so spoiled that we see Tua in between three people almost every single play. That's what he does. And the argument of Tyreek Hill and Waddle just carry him and that he just gets a slant, no. It's completely absurd. If you watch the games, he's throwing in between three defenders almost every single play. So that is the thing. Tua is not like most regular quarterbacks. Yes, you have Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. They all run around and this and that. Guess what? To be real with you, Patrick Mahomes doesn't run around too much, which is fantastic. That's why he stays healthy. Josh Allen is having nagging injuries starting to pile up on him. Why? Because he runs so much. Why? Because he doesn't use, not saying he doesn't use his brain, because every quarterback is, you're a professional quarterback, that's what you do. But it's not to the type that Tua is doing, where Tua completely maneuvers defenses so that he most of the time doesn't have to run. It's just a pure fact that when you look at Tua's head, there's subtle movements, like he'll be looking at a defender. Even last game, he had a no-look pass to, I forgot who it was, a no-look pass where he's looking at this defender and then throws it over there. So he's doing so many things at the line of scrimmage. This is what we need to get into, the offensive line. So what we really have to break down is that so we'll go to the game that we just saw where the fumble ended it. What is happening with Tua at the line of scrimmage is, and this is, I'm not making excuses, but this is probably the reason why he didn't catch that ball. First off is Tua's offhand. Second, you have to understand that what Tua is doing when he gets to the line is that he is breaking down the coverage, watching everybody's movements, and immediately when he kind of sets himself in understanding what they're kind of doing with their coverage, he's trying to figure out where he needs to throw. He's doing that all before the snap. So when people want to say he's a first-read quarterback, no, what Tua is doing is he is breaking down the defense. When they do the motions, it's not just to confuse the defense. It's also that Tua is seeing who's moving, who's not moving, where everybody's moving. They're doing silent counts when they are at the line to see who jumps, who starts moving forward. They're doing all this stuff so that Tua can break down exactly where he knows. That's how he throws these balls into these tight windows. It's not just it's so accurate all the time, which he is. You have to be. But what he's really doing is he's broken that all down before the snap. So we'll go to the fumble, and that's probably why he didn't catch it. He's understanding who's blitzing, who's not blitzing, who's moving around, and he already had who he was going to throw to in his head before the ball was snapped. And the ball was snapped bad, which completely threw him off, which would have completely thrown the play off too. It doesn't even, So what we'll get into is we have to understand that our center, Connor Williams, great blocker. Some of the games we've had Liam Eichenberg. With the snaps, when you throw a bad snap to Tua, when you throw a snap out of range, yes, of course, he needs to handle it, and he has most of the time. It's like what people seem to do with Tua is they seem to make ultimatums. Like, he missed that snap, so he misses every snap, and he's not clutch. He has caught so many bad snaps by these centers that it's nuts to even try and say that. Yes, he fumbled that one. That one was really tough to catch. Look, the ball is going 20 miles an hour up and to your offhand. When your hands are here, and the ball goes here, it's hard to try and catch that. That's tough for anybody. So the thing is the offensive line is what kind of has slowed Tua down in a lot of those games that we've lost. You have to consider the Bills game. Liam Eichenberg came in. If you watch the film, Liam Eichenberg destroyed every single play that we did in that game. Now, God bless him, he's just not a starter in this league. He ruined every single play. If you look at the offense, every single play was sped up or destroyed because Liam Eichenberg couldn't hold the block. The Philadelphia Eagles game, again, Liam Eichenberg kind of did a little better, but we had no Connor Williams, no Teron Armstead, so the timing was a little off and the penalties kept happening. Yes, of course, the refs and all that, but the offensive line kind of threw things off a little bit, and it throws Tua off because he when he's breaking down and doing all this stuff, if you have 2 seconds to throw the ball, a lot of the time what people are taking advantage of is because those games that we lost, Tua didn't have the greatest offensive line. He didn't have all his players. You have to understand the Philadelphia Eagles, he didn't have Teron Armstead, Connor Williams, and Robert Hunt went down, I'm pretty sure. So he had like 3 backups in. And then, on top of that, during the Chiefs game, Robert Jones goes down. And Robert Hunt wasn't in. So he still was missing 2 of his offensive linemen, which did a little better because Teron Armstead was. But he just came back. So these guys just came back. They're not fully ready yet. So, and then the Bills game, it was just the offensive line was hot garbage. Like, nobody did anything. Teron Armstead got injured that game, and Liam Eichenberg was really bad. So when you throw this timing off, it throws Tua off. He's not one of those quarterbacks. He's not like a Lamar Jackson. But here's the thing. There's goods and bads to both sides. Yes, if you speed Tua up, he's like Tom Brady. It's like if you speed Tom Brady up, he doesn't play the same. That's why you get a good offensive line. Lamar Jackson, he isn't the best passer, so he needs to run. It's one of those things that he's not going to blow you out of the water with his passing. He runs the ball a lot. So yes, you get that with that, but of course you can't make the throws that Tua can make if you're Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry, it's just you can't do that. He's just not as good as a quarterback. He's a good running quarterback, but he's not as good as a quarterback. So the offensive line will throw Tua off if it's not functioning properly. And guess what? All the games we lost, multiple injured offensive linemen. Now, coming out of the bye week, this is why I think Tua will win the MVP, is because you're getting everybody back. Now, left guard position, we lost Isaiah Wynn, so that's the only one that you're not getting, but I feel as though maybe you can put Kendall Lamb there or something along like pray to everything It's not Liam Eichenberg, but I don't know. Mike McDaniel has his favorites. But I'm pretty sure they're not going to put Liam Eichenberg there. They'll put somebody else. So you're getting Teron Armstead fully back, Connor Williams fully back, Robert Hunt fully back, and Austin Jackson, like I predicted in the videos in the offseason. He's playing probably the best out of all of our offensive linemen. And I predicted that. He looked different. I felt something different in my stomach that he was definitely going for something different. But yes, Tua's getting all of his offensive linemen back. And you're going to see, we're also playing at home, so the crowd will calm down when we are running plays so that you can have all the different audibles and voice motions that Tua would do that he can't really do away because it's so loud that no one can hear. So, again, the offensive line has thrown Tua off a lot. But you look at Tua's stats. You look at what he's done. You look at how he's been doing since he's come into the league. This guy, he's going to become MVP, I think, this year. And this next stretch of games is going to be the telltale sign. But I do believe in the guy. And again, this year, the clutchness has kind of not really been there. But it's just been a unfortunate set of circumstances. The Bills, we just got blown out. We couldn't keep up with them that game. It was just a train wreck. Philadelphia, I'm not trying to throw this in there, but, 0 penalties on Philly, and we had such bogus calls for us that it stopped a lot of our drives. I really do feel like we could have won that game if the penalties and all that and the reffing was just not so atrocious, and our team had, really come to play. Tua played really good that game too. And the Kansas City Chiefs game, the beginning of the game, plenty of drops. The fumble really kind of irked us. Here's what we're saying is that Tyreek Hill doesn't fumble. These are all circumstances that take away from what Tua was doing, because Tua brought us back in that second half. That is pretty clutch. Unfortunately, Cedric Wilson ran the wrong route, because if he didn't, Tua would have hit him on that 10-yard out, and we would have been in goal line range, and we probably would have scored. Also, Tyreek Hill doesn't fumble. Where we were at, we're kicking a field goal. You understand? We're kicking a field goal to win the game. It's completely different. So, it's just been a couple of circumstances that have happened with Tua that have taken away from that clutchness. But all these teams that we're facing, all the good ones, we're actually facing at home this time. I think the only one that's away might be Baltimore, if I'm not mistaken. Or they might, I think it's Baltimore. Those are the three. Dallas and Bills are both at Miami. So we're playing them in our house. And that is going to help out a lot. But we're going to see. Now we're getting our full team back, or most of them. I think we're only missing the left guard at this point. And Tua has been playing pretty incredible. Again, we are selfish in that he can throw for 250 yards a game and have leading the league in touchdowns and yards. And for some reason, this fan base still thinks he sucks. I don't understand. I just want to ask a question. Where do you think we're going to find a better quarterback than that? It boggles my mind, because again, there's been plenty of quarterbacks that have teams that are dedicated to them, and they still didn't function. Like, for instance, Baker Mayfield. Dude, he had, what is it? He had, oh man, how am I forgetting his name? Played for the Dolphins. I forgot his name. Whatever. He had Odell Beckham Jr. He had, I'm forgetting his name. Our guy, man. Wow, I forgot his name. I can't even believe this. Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. Who else? He had a couple of tight ends. He had a great offensive line. People didn't say that he sucks, and he never led the league in passing yardage. He never was even close. I don't even think he was in the top 8. He had a whole offense tailored to him. You understand? That's crazy that you said he had a whole offense tailored to him. Never led the league. You had plenty of quarterbacks, the ones that I mentioned before. None of them led the league in passing. Yes, you need help as a quarterback. Joe Burrow has 3 receivers, a running back, great offensive, or a decent offensive line, and a tight end too. Nobody complains about him doing what he needs to do, and he's still not leading the league in passing. He's a stud. I won't take that away from Joe Burrow, but he's not leading the league in passing right now. He has a whole offense tailored to him as well. He's had it since he got into the league. First year, he didn't. What happened? Wasn't as good as the next year's. Then he got all his guys, and that's what happened. This is just, but what Tua is doing is he has that, and he's the best quarterback in the league with it. That's the difference. You understand? There's not much more to say about that. Tua doesn't suck. Tua is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And, with time, a year or two, Tua is going to be like the next Drew Brees and the next Tom Brady, where, yes, all these other quarterbacks have all these cool little running plays and this and that. Tua is just going to break you down play by play. He's still growing. He's only 4 years in the league, or 3.5 years. It's not like he's been in the league for 10 years. He is 3.5 years in the league. 2 of those years, he had one of the worst coaches you could possibly have. He is leading the league. The guy is probably going to be MVP this year. And he's going to get paid, and he's going to be our franchise quarterback. Straight up. We all believe in Tua. I think anybody that doesn't is just naive at this point. So, the recap of all of this. Tua's the guy. Tua's the guy. I believe he's going to win MVP this year. I fully believe that. I believe that he's going to win MVP, and, we're going to do some things in the playoff. We'll make a video more on Mike McDaniel, because I think sometimes Mike McDaniel gets in the way, but, I think that combination is going to be a tough one to deal with for years. But as always, guys, hope you have a great rest of your day. Fins up, baby. Peace. Praise God. Love God.